Yeah, just overall look, overall everything, because he didn't come from the Indies. He came virtually out of nowhere.
Let's talk about the U.S. Championship for a minute because their WCW is running a tournament. It had been vacated by Vader, and as part of moving Vader into the role with Flair, he was stripped of the U.S. title. So here are some of the participants for the United States Championship. I don't know if you remember this or not. You have Steve Austin, Sting, Meng. There you go, Sting, Meng, Brian Pillman, Alex Wright, Ric Flair's in the tournament. But you know who else is in the tournament? That's right. You're in the tournament, my friend.
Me?
Arn Anderson, right there, is in the tournament for the United States Championship.
I'm sure I got knocked out in the first round.
Well, you didn't win it. I'll tell you that right now. Research guy, I know we're getting ahead. Just go ahead and tell me if you can remember, because I certainly can't with 85,000 minutes in front of me. Who ended up winning this tournament just for funsies? Or if we know when Arn got knocked out and who, for a little trivia, that would be fun. But yeah, so you were in the United States tournament back in May 1995.
Don't recollect that.
That's
Which
okay.
means I must not have did very well.
Sting wins the United States Championship in that tournament. That makes a ton of sense. Thanks, Andrew.
All right.
There you go.
Good choice.
Let's talk about a friend of yours and mine, and that's Kevin Sullivan. All right. He was preparing to introduce the Dungeon of Doom, which that's going to shake some things up. And Sting, by the way, he comes through again, clutch. Great American Bash wins the title, and he defeats Meng. Sting defeats Meng for the U.S. Championship. All right, let's move on. Sullivan, our buddy. He's preparing to introduce the Dungeon of Doom. That's going to shake some things up. So that's going on. And the guy that you just been talking about, Paul Wight, makes his debut at Slamboree. And so there's a lot of buzz around him. Fans are curious to see how he's going to fit in. So May 1995 is busy, Arn. It's exciting. When I talk about Paul Wight making his debut, when I talk about a United States Championship tournament, Vader, Hogan, what's the biggest thing? Das Wonder Kid. What stands out to you as, man, this was a big deal, May 1995? Anything that stands out to you? Is it Paul Wight? Is it Big Show's debut?
I think it has to be, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so too.
You don't see guys like that
No.
ever walking around. I mean, he's over 7 feet tall. He's 400 pounds, but he was completely symmetrical. He didn't move like a guy that couldn't move because he was so big. He was
right. We've seen those in the business.
When he walked in that locker room, when I saw him the first time in Chicago before he ever started with the company, he walked in and just leaned back against the door. He had on a full length leather coat, long hair. Looked at him, and the guy just looked like, I went, oh my God. I don't know who that is or why he's here, but I hope to God he's not here to kill anybody because he looks the part.
Carl in the chat here says he feels like Paul Wight was misused.
Oh, you could have shoved him as hard as you wanted to. If you wanted to get him over, put him in a match with Vader.
So, in your opinion, though, do you think, looking back again, that's what we do here, Armchair, do you think WCW misused him for his time there until he left and went to the WWE? Should they have used him differently?
He could have been pushed a lot harder.
Yes.
And I'm sure when Vet saw him on the WCW TV, he went to whoever he had to, let's get that guy.
No doubt about it. I mean, he hasn't, to your point, you haven't seen anybody like that, agility-wise, size-wise, intimidation-wise, since Andre.
Yeah, just overall look, overall everything, because he didn't come from the Indies. He came virtually out of nowhere.
Doesn't happen nowadays, guys, that's for sure. Arn, I want to talk a little bit more about the United States title, because before Hogan came on the scene, it was held by some of the best wrestlers that worked in the company, guys who were seen as top contenders in WCW. They were going to be, the next up for the world title, if you will. With the recent tournament, it seemed like a great chance for WCW to elevate some of that younger talent. But here, as outlined and as Andrew shared with us, you got Sting and you got Meng. Sting wins the championship. Do you think there was a missed opportunity to maybe take one of those younger guys and use this as an opportunity to elevate them into a higher role? Or is Sting kind of like, hey, let's put the title on him and give it to a guy we know is proven?
Well, you had to always take care of Sting just simply because he was the flagship for the company. You had to keep him good. Now, the choice of opponents, was Rick Rude working for the company?
At this time, I believe Rude was gone. At this point, it was injured and done with WCW.
So who else was in that tournament?
You were, and Sting beat you in the opening round of the tournament. I think that was where we should rebook this shit right there.
Okay,
but we'll go. But let me. We have Brian Pillman,
all right.
Steve Austin, okay, Alex Wright, and then you have the veterans: yourself, Sting, Ric Flair, and we already mentioned Meng was in it.
Might have been a good spot to elevate an Austin.
Hello, yeah. There's another one Vince was obviously salivating over.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been a good choice of the guys that needed the shot in the arm at that time. He would be one of those.
Andrew confirmed that, yes, Rick Rude was out. He was retired by injury, so he definitely was gone. But Austin, Brian Pillman, even, U.S., why not? At that point, at this point, 95, sure, come on, let's do it.
Absolutely.
All right, so we have that, and we talk about that. We're going to talk more about that tournament in June of 1995, and we'll have some fun. Andrew reminds us that Austin was already U.S. champion for nearly a year, from 93 to Fall Brawl 94. But you know what? I don't think it would have been bad to give him the title run again. Why not? Further solidify him. They weren't going to put the world belt on him. They brought Hogan in for that. So I don't know.
Well, if he had already had a run, which I wasn't aware of because I didn't have the history in front of me, but
long time ago, Warren, we forgive you. Totally.
Yes, you're going to have to, because it's not going to pop back in my head.
We have wrestling savants that are here. Just they're like Wikipedias.
Then maybe it would have been a time for Pillman to get that nod if Austin had already been there.
Andrew points out in the chat, WCW hadn't made Meng either. Where's Connor? Oh, very nice, Marvelous Revolution. He's too busy. So there you go. We got that, and Meng could have been another. What about Meng being U.S. champion? That's a fun one.
If you would have built him.
Yeah.
I mean, we knew he was the baddest man on the planet. We all knew that. I'm not sure the fans all knew that.
Yeah.
And he hadn't been given that push where, like you did a guy that you were really trying to have to get over. A bunch of wins over a bunch of opponents that were good opponents. He hadn't had that kind of push.